Well, hello everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar before you head off to San Diego and the Bio conference. We've just waited a little while for more people to join, but I think we've got a good amount of people logged on now and ready to participate. So my name is Stuart Dignam. If you've not met me, I am the CEO of MTP Connect, and really do appreciate you joining. We're kind of nearly there in 2 weeks or so. You'll be in San Diego in sunny Southern California, but you'll be there along with about 20,000 other people. So it's a pretty intense and highly competitive environment at Bio. I know some of you may have been before, but many have not. And the purpose of this pre-departure briefing is to give you some tips and some hints and some information that will position you to get the most out of your visit to Bio and participation in the conference. That's what we want. We want you to outcompete colleagues from other countries and do the best you possibly can to grow your business, basically. So we've got a great lineup of speakers for this session over the next hour or so to do just that, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of value from it. After each session, we're having Q&A and a sort of a polling arrangement, so you can sort of interact and participate. So please do participate in those activities. It'll help you get even more out of this briefing. So MTP Connect is delighted to be coordinating and leading the Bio delegation for Australia. We're doing that in partnership with state governments, terrific partners, and really a first port of call for any queries you have about your attendance is to your state government agency organisers. We're also doing it with Department of Industry, Science and Resources, DISA, and CSIRO, all terrific partners. A couple of our events to just note before we get underway is obviously the very large and exciting welcome reception at Hotel del Coronado. That's on the Sunday, the 2nd of June in the evening from 5 to 7. Expecting a very large contingent of not only you guys, but some international partners at that event, so you can mix and mingle, explore partnership opportunities or new market opportunities. As I say, that's at Hotel del Coronado, and some significant VIPs will also be in attendance at that. Prior to the welcome reception, MTP Connect is actually organising a site visit program that's on the Thursday and Friday, the 30th and 31st of May. Unfortunately, it's completely booked out. We are visiting companies like J&J Innovation, Illumina, Novartis, Leidos, and Truvian. We're also holding a workforce and skills workshop, acknowledging that for all of our efforts to grow this sector, we're going to need a skilled workforce to actually do that. And that workshop is about exploring some of the challenges in achieving a sustainable workforce and insights from our partners in the US as well. There's also some activities with the San Diego Entrepreneurs Network in the evening on that Friday the 31st. One other thing to mention is we're holding a Women in Leadership Forum. That'll be on the Monday around about 1 o'clock. It's about highlighting challenges for women in STEM and women in leadership positions in this sector, sharing insights and observations from some sector leaders from both Australia and internationally. So there are a few things that MTP Connect is doing. As I say, we're doing it in conjunction with state governments, DISA and CSIRO, also working with AusBiotech. So this is shaping up as pretty well the biggest Australian delegation to Bio ever, and we're really glad you're coming along. and we're really glad to be able to give you some insights in this session. So thanks again for joining. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Tamlin O'Connor to walk you through what is going to be transpiring over the next little while. Tamlin.
Thanks, Stuart, and welcome everyone. As Stuart said, we're really excited for Bio's the Bio mission this year and MTPConnect's presence and our partners. I'm the International Markets and Engagement Manager, if you haven't met me before, but having a look at the list, there's a lot of you I'm really excited to see over at Bio. But for today, we've got Erica Sosnowski and Jennifer Andrews from Leaf Marketing, who will be speaking today and giving you a bit of an insight on how to maximise strategies for Bio. First up, so Erica is a motivated executive with multicultural business acumen and also has extensive international experience. And Erica's clients include biopharmaceutical, consumer and manufacturing organisations, as well as private equity and venture capital. Erica has managed at Sosna and Co for the last 7 years and has led more than close to $250 million deals from life sciences clients. Jennifer is a marketing expert with a science background and an MBA, who is passionate about growing scientific businesses and brings over 15 years experience in the life sciences industry. Jennifer is a marketing director for a CRO and a senior marketing director for a medical equipment company. As CEO of Fresh Leaf Marketing, Jennifer specialises in marketing strategy, branding and content to help clients grow their organisations. Jennifer's actually also an author of Scientist to CEO, the marketing book for businesses built by scientists, and co-founder of the Life Science Growth Intensive Coaching and Training Program. Jennifer is a business mentor and speaker through several accelerators. So I welcome you both to give your presentation. And everyone, if you can please pop your questions in the Q&A, and after the presentation, we will facilitate the questioning.
Thanks so much, Tamlin. I'll start by sharing my screen here.
So welcome everybody. I see some names in the attendee list that I recognize, some that are new. So we're very excited to be chatting with you today about Bio. I would say Bio is probably the Super Bowl of the biotech industry, right? I mean, I've been going for about 20 years. For those of you that this is new to, it's extremely exciting, and we hope you get the most out of it. And for those of you that are veterans, you know, it's always nice to have a reminder about some of the to-dos, what to do, what not to do, specifically when you're coming from so far away. So our goal today is to walk you through some of the objectives for Bio, focus a little bit on the nuances of North American business culture and success tips, some outreach strategy and follow-up to make sure that you're not only maximizing your time at Bio, but following up and leveraging those relationships that you've spent so much time culturing in San Diego to make sure that you can close successful deals afterwards, and then some success tools that you can use to help get those new partnerships and deals across the board. The next couple of slides just touch on an introduction to myself and Jennifer, which Tamlin so graciously gave you. So we'll skip through those. But rest assured, we've been around the block. So we're happy to answer any questions before or after this webinar. Jen, I'll pass it over to you to talk about some of the Bio objectives.
No, for sure. So we're all coming in here with the same goal. So we're looking to expand our networks and obviously bring in new leads and raise that awareness for our companies. But we also want to focus on building relationships. And it's not just about getting, generic leads. It's about bringing in qualified opportunities. And as Erica always says, she just mentioned having spent her almost 20th Bio. The goal is, and many of you are participating in the partnering platform, is to fill your calendar with meetings. So Erica, in the past 18, 19 years, always goes with the agenda of fill all your meeting slots, and then she has back-to-back meetings. So that's usually the goal that we're looking for, no matter what type of company, like stage or type of company you are. And again, making that for a lasting first impression that's really positive, because you really only have one shot to make an impression. And so if you go in with those strategic objectives in mind, we want to aim to leave a positive first impression. So overall, I think we're all here for the same objectives.
When we look at the business culture in North America, and I say this lovingly, I'm Canadian, and we're a lot like Australians in the sense that we are a little bit more relaxed when we do business. Maybe don't necessarily bring the same, I would say, punctuality and assertiveness that some of the Americans and Europeans may bring. When we walk into the bio platform, I would urge you to focus on punctuality, direct communication, professionalism. You know, in North America, there will be a handful of people that are wearing suits and ties. Ties aren't necessarily a requirement, but if you have them in your suitcase, bring them along, just in case you want to pop them on. When you're walking through the bio partnering forum, and I know Marcel will talk on this about this a little bit as well, but formal handshakes and business cards are definitely the norm. When I go to these conferences, having a business card, a lot of people are talking about sustainability these days. A lot of people have automated cards that go right into your contact information in your phone. Having that physical business card sometimes can allow and really leave a souvenir with the relationships and the people that you're building those relationships with. So I would urge you, if you haven't already, to print business cards, do so, and bring a stack with all of these networking events that Stuart and the team are planning. It's always nice, even for fellow Australians, to be meeting each other, to have those business cards in hand. And you have one shot to make a first impression. So when we look at creating a value proposition and your business development messaging, as scientific organizations, we really want to look at simplifying the science. You will, when you get into the partnering forum, and if you can just pop to the next slide, Jen, you will notice who you're meeting in advance. My recommendation is to do a little bit of research on who the people are. Some of the people will be scientific in nature, but not everybody. And so as a scientific organization, it's really helpful to make sure you're clearly articulating the scientific message while at the same time distilling it from a business standpoint. And I'll pass it over to Jen to talk a little bit about value propositions and how to synthesize that science, because it's the hardest part as a scientific organization, especially when you have a short meeting time.
No, for sure. And this is where marketing and business development really come together. So we all know, working in our businesses, you may have a BD team, you may not. You may have marketing help, you may not. But you know the functions and you understand that they go hand in hand. So you can't have a beautiful set of materials without the networking happening on the BD side. So as we always say, I don't know if it was mentioned, but I'm a marketing consultant and Eric is a BD consultant. So we work together on so many projects. And what we've realized is that they go hand in hand from beginning to end. So as soon, like as far away as 8 weeks out from a trade show, we work on the planning together. So for you today, focusing, like Erica said, on that message can make or break a pitch or meeting. So again, you're in the one-on-one partnering, you're having those 30-minute meetings. What you say and how you present your company really matters. So it's about simplifying it, not using too much jargon, and just remembering to make the correct ask that you're saying and not dwelling on the science or the details. So pre-bio musts for you is that elevator pitch. So it does go back to your value proposition. If you have set that, maybe you need to do a bit of refining on that. But once you're there, focusing on how can you speak about your company in a way that resonates, in a compelling way that's also short and concise. We recommend bringing some materials. So I put up there, pack light, but sort of be prepared. You don't have to bring, of course, a stack of printed material that's way too heavy. It's not feasible traveling from as far away as you are. So we recommend bringing even just a few copies of a one pager, a nicely branded one pager for your company. It evokes that professionalism, and it can be something that you can simply show in meetings and explain what you're speaking of, and then you can send it again later on as an attachment. And so we always say in any convention center, the internet is unreliable, especially again, if you're coming internationally with an international phone number, who knows what the connection is like. So bring those a few printed things. And ahead of that, when you're doing your partnering outreach meeting requests, of course, you can attach these to there. But on site at Bio, Erica already mentioned, bring business cards. You can also bring or just use the QR code scanner in LinkedIn. That's very useful. There's also a free business card scanner. I believe HubSpot still has that. I've used that in the past 3 months at least. And then you can also, if you have a tablet on site, bring a slide deck that you can just simply scroll through your slides, show what you want to show. And then our favorite tip actually for the meetings is take diligent notes. So meetings will happen so quickly and you'll think, well, I'll remember all these details. You'll have so many meetings, it goes by so fast. Diligent note taking is essential. So we prepared something for you. We actually use this ourselves. On this next slide here, it's a meeting notes template. So if you just want to sort of systematize the meeting process, of course, you'll do like the 10-minute intro. You'll speak, each of you does that, and then you'll speak about what you're going to talk about, your topics. This template we'll share as a PDF. We'll send it after this via email. It is just an easy way to organize your meetings so you can check off therapeutic area, company stage, the company service or product type, and then, of course, the action items that you want to take. So if you're a pen and paper type of person, some people are, you can do that. Or I know some people have a tablet where you can write onto a PDF. This works for that as well. And then you can upload that to your CRM later or simply use it as your follow-up. So we have that free sort of freebie for you. So we'll send that later on via email. So we do have 3 questions to ask today before we get into the follow-up strategy and this is something we struggle with, or our clients struggle with, and we help them and guide them through is, do you have, number 1, a clear, compelling message set already? Or is there some work that needs to be done there? Number 2, are you leading with the benefit? So the benefit to your ideal customer or your ideal investor or the person you want to bring on your AI platform, whatever your business type is, or are you overwhelming them with the detail? I say the science, sometimes it is the scientific specifics, but sometimes it's just the details and specs and features of your platform, whatever it may be. Just remember to lead with the benefit to who you're speaking to. That goes such a long way. That's almost the one shift you have to make an impact. And then the other question to ask is, what is your ask? What are you going in asking for? Are you seeking licensing relationships? Are you seeking new customers? Are you looking for investors, like I just mentioned? These are 3 things that if you have the answers to that, you will be so much more likely to be successful at Bio or any conference, really. So think about those, but then we'll move on to the follow-up process because it's so important.
Yeah, I think that from a follow-up standpoint, it's really, the Bio forum in itself is your way to make your first impression, create those relationships. The follow-up strategy is as important, if not more important, because you really only have 30 minutes of face time in these partnering meetings, some of the networking sessions, less than that. And so you want to really go in with an organized leads list. If you have time when you get back to your hotel in the evenings to make notes on who you've met, some of the key points, if it's outside of the partnering forum, that's all important to making sure you don't miss anybody in the follow-up. Traveling back, some of you may be taking vacation post Bio, and so your follow-up may not happen within the first few days of Bio ending, which is fine. We try and say, at least within 10 days of leaving Bio, if you can at least send a follow-up to say, hi, it was great meeting you. and we'll look forward to reconnecting once I'm back in my office. But at least it gives people an understanding of, okay, they're thinking about me. Our conversation was important, and the conversation is going to continue moving forward. And be persistent. The worst that people can say is no. And so when you're looking to partner or license or for a new investor, hearing no at least allows you to focus, right? So that persistence and that follow-up is really essential to making sure that that those deals are going to close. When we look at tactics for follow-up, we like to say to leverage tech as much as possible. This can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be, as your organization is set up for. A simple Excel spreadsheet with names, contacts, key points about your meeting, essential follow-up items. If you're a little bit more advanced, you can score people based on, how well you think the meeting went, the probability of close, that type of thing. You can, with the follow-up, you can automate this in a way that is, you can still personalize it, but at least you have a cadence set forward so that your follow-ups are happening around the same time for all of the companies that you're meeting. If you're like me, I think, with 30-minute bell ringers, you can meet up to 60 companies, 75 maybe, if you maximize everything over the course of the partnering forum. That's a lot of companies that you're having conversations with. And so batching these tasks for follow-up is really critical to making sure that you don't miss any of the conversations after the fact. Did I miss anything, Jen, here? I think we use a CRM. For those of you that don't have one already in place, it's called HubSpot. They do have a free version of it, but it does help to organize by anything that's important to you: therapeutic area, stage of development, whether it's an investor, whether it's a partner. So it's something to look into. There are other CRMs and other platforms as well. It's just one that we're familiar with.
No, thank you. Yeah, that is what I was going to add. And I was going to say as well, you can export the partnering list, and we're not saying to mass email them. That's a no-no, but keep it in your CRM because you can refer to it later on with notes and such for your follow-ups.
Perfect. And then when we look at a cadence for follow-up, we do recommend that you send emails kind of well over a 14-day period. For those of you that are taking vacation afterwards, some other companies will and individuals will take vacation. It's nice to spread your follow-up out over at least a 2-week period. Because if people do go on vacation and they get an email follow-up from you on day one, you then have the ability to reconnect with them if they're out of office. So this is an example of some of the ways that you could reach out: intro email, follow-up email, call, social interaction. LinkedIn is really a premium place for follow-up. If nothing else, it establishes another point of connection. If you're a leader in your space, if your company's posting, if you're posting about a therapeutic area, a device area, people see you as leaders in the space and are more apt to kind of follow you and connect with you. And then you can send follow-ups. This is not obviously set in stone, it's a guidance, but it does extend over that 2-week period to allow you to make sure that you get in front of them and in their inbox for follow-up.
And that really concludes our material we wanted to present, but we wanted to share with you that if you are uncertain about your messaging or your materials, we do have a special, we call it a resource to help, but it's a 10-day challenge. It's sort of our fun way of packaging picture it as a mix of education and coaching, like one-to-one calls with Erica and I at the same time. We made this for you guys because we just know how difficult it is to attend these events, be successful without a plan. So Erica and I are obsessed with planning. So we put this together. I'll just explain very briefly. There's only one more slide. But we have this selection of modules where we walk through daily videos with us. We give you sort of the tools and trainings that you need to learn to be successful at bio, but also to create an entire marketing program, really. So if you go through these, I really think you'll gain value from it. You'll find some scripts and templates to help you. If you need a one-pager quickly, there's a one-pager in there. And all of these things you see here, I won't read it all off, of course. But we're offering that to you just for fun today because we're really passionate and we really hope to actually meet you there as well. But ahead of that, get ahead of this planning process. It's a 10-day challenge. It's kind of low stakes, but I really think you'll learn something. And Eric and I are really happy to put it together for you. So you can either scan the code here, and I believe we'll share a link in the chat. So grab that if you can at this point. Otherwise, I will mention to Tamlin that the first poll for Bio 2024, we're going to put up a poll. So if we can please launch poll number 1. And then if you all attendees here can answer that, that would really help us gain some insights on that. So go ahead and answer this poll.
I do see a question about dress etiquette and wearing walking sneakers. Absolutely bring your sneakers. There's if you're staying at a hotel off a ways away and you're walking around, I mean, save your feet. I've been vain before and it's never ended well. Bring band-aids, but definitely feel free to wear your sneakers. More and more people do it. There are some very fashionable sneakers these days, so go for it. And I don't know, we can't vote, so the poll, for those of you that see it, what do you find most challenging when preparing for a successful conference or trade show like Bio? Choice number 1, making my outreach list. Choice number 2, scheduling enough meetings. Choice number 3, qualifying prospects, and choice number 4, others. So feel free to vote there. And that kind of concludes our lecture. If there are any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here and look forward to meeting everybody in San Diego.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, Jen. A couple more questions I've got for you. So one of the questions from our attendees is, a lot of the companies clearly state that they don't want to actually take meetings with CROs and vendors. So what would be your recommendation in being able to actually contact them and break through their, I guess, no meeting policy?
Some of them will stick to it, to be honest, but there are ways to navigate. There's networking sessions. You can invite them to a cocktail. You can invite them to, you can see if they're going to be attending anything after the fact. There's so many. And people will usually say, okay, well, I don't have time in the partnering forum, but yes, I'll be at the MTPConnect event on Sunday night. Let's meet there. So there's always an option for that. One of the things that you can do as well, from a CRO, CMO, any service really based organization, although it's nice to meet them in person, you can always offer to schedule a call post bio. So if you have the chance to run into them to at least exchange business cards, it at least gets that formality out of the way. And then you can schedule a webinar or a follow-up call after the fact. And that way it just kind of keeps the conversation rolling. If there's anybody that we're connected to that you're looking to connect with, I'm always happy to make an introduction. So feel free to also leverage MTPConnect, other associations, to kind of make those introductory introductions for you, so that at least you have a soft connect and people are more apt to kind of meet with you then as well. So try everything. Again, I think we wrote it before, persistence is key. The worst they can say is no. And you can always follow up after the fact if you can't get the FaceTime that you're gunning for. So
thanks, Erica. I think we're all we've all been guilty of not taking enough notes during our meetings because you get on a bit of an adrenaline high and you're very busy and some key meetings are happening. What would you say would be? I mean, you've got your templates, but what would you say would be the number one thing that you can do to manage? I guess then, especially if you've got back-to-back meetings, to manage that and get the best outcome.
So the preparation for me is critical, knowing what you want to say to each of the organizations, and your message going into it. But these meetings happen so quickly. They're 30-minute bell ringer meetings. You really have a second to sit down, say hello. From there, you have an introduction, 10 minutes maybe for one company, 10 minutes for the other, and then you're into your follow-up. So the more clear and concise you can be with your ask, the better off you are. Making sure your proposition is critical. And then taking those notes for follow-up after the fact, because like we said, everybody starts to mesh together. You'll think you'll remember, but the faces kind of turn into a blob after the fact. So the more detailed notes you can take in the moment, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all been there and come back and had 50 business cards to sort through. So that's good advice, Erica. What would you say would be some of the, in terms of the advice and your program, what would be some of the key things out of those strategies that your clients have, I guess, raved about and been able to turn it into something impactful?
I think the value proposition and simplifying the science, and Jen, you may want to add to this, but making sure that messaging is clear and concise is really, I think, what's going to separate the cream from the milk. But make sure that everything is extremely well laid out. And then the follow-up is critical. And I think that a lot of people take that for granted. You have these meetings to really create a bit of a relationship, and then the follow-up and what you do afterwards is really going to be what solidifies the business dealings that get done. So for me, it's synthesizing that science into a very clear, compelling message. I think that's one of the things. And then follow-up. Jen, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Well, it was almost from the flip side of that, the materials. So what people, they always tell us they benefit from working with us from is both the strategy on Erica's side, but also the materials. So all the entire branded set of nice things that you see on everybody's booth, we create that for our clients. So they love that it's sort of the mix of the BD strategy, the marketing implementation, and then we're both just planners. So hopefully you could see that from just planning for bio in general, but any campaign we're launching for a company, they just appreciate that planning. So we're hoping to do the same thing right here for bio for all of you guys.
Yeah. That sounds great. And I guess with your experience with international clients, given that we are from Australia traveling so far to get to bio, and noting that you say make sure that we contact our follow-ups from bio within that 10 business working days, but what would be your best advice in terms of trying to keep that conversation going, even if you know that at this stage in both companies that you're not actually, there is no strategic alignment just yet? Like how would you navigate, nurturing those potential relationships?
So if your company has marketing campaigns or outreach that you send out, definitely invite anybody that you meet to your marketing collateral that's going to go out. It'll stay in front of them. LinkedIn is a very good resource as well. If you are a thought leader, even if you're reposting some of your company posts, people will see it. People will see it if you connect and if you're authentic, right? I think one of the things that we try to do is sell. But at the end of the day, people aren't going to partner or buy if the timing isn't right. And part of the challenge with business development and making sure that you're growing your company is just making sure that they're aware, that they know who you are, and that awareness component And so whether that's through your marketing emails, through your LinkedIn, through a combination of the two, it's staying in front of them so that when they have the need, they think of you specifically, your company specifically, and they know to reach out. And that's one of the challenges specifically with international, when you can't just, hop in your car and drive over to Boston or New York or Paris or the UK to meet people, right? Everything is much more focused around road shows. But the more that you can stay relevant in their inbox, the better off you'll be, because it does come down to that timing. So try and think of ways that your roadmap from a business development standpoint can really stay in front of them for the next forever, for the next 12, 24 months following bio, because it'll come around if the timing's not right today.
Exactly, and priorities change across companies, so that later on down the track in 24 months, strategic alignment may happen. So, but we might talk about the polling result if you've got any comments, Erica and Jen.
Yes, I don't see it actually.
It went
Where
away.
are we? Yeah.
It went away.
Just hold tight. I think we're just about to have them shared.
Oh, in the meantime, there was a question about our meeting templates, meeting notes template. We will send that. Peter asked that question. We're going to send that to you all via email after this. So get it either from MTPConnect or from us, but you will get that via email.
And how do you feel about North Americans writing business notes on their business? I do that all the time. So for me, it's a nice way to have the meeting notes affiliated with the person. So I'm cool with it. I do it in front of everybody all the time. So feel free to do that. It
Is
keeps
that a
everything
no-no to some? I didn't know that.
Maybe some cultures, but not at bio, definitely when you're running from meeting to meeting. Marcel, maybe you can weigh in on that during your you're smiling. So
Okay, I think we've got the poll results in the chat, if you can see that, Erica.
okay, perfect. So 44% of you say your biggest challenge is scheduling enough meetings. And so, I think that there's probably an expectation that you set for yourselves, right? From coming from so far away, to make sure that you're maximizing your time. But scheduling meetings isn't the only way to connect with people. There's networking sessions every morning, every night, throughout the day. Bio's done a really great job of creating an exhibition hall now, and there's people walking through the exhibition hall at all times of the day. So if there's companies that you want to meet that are exhibiting, feel free to walk up to them and meet them there. Qualifying prospects is another one. That's the second. 33% of you said that's the most difficult. Again, the bio platform is honestly the Rolls Royce of platforms when it comes to partnering from my perspective. The more that you as an organization put into the bio platform, the more you get out of it. There's a lot of organizations that do a very good job of filling out what they're looking for, what their assets are, the stage of development. So use it as a tool. There are other supplemental public resources, websites, obviously. And keep in mind, some companies operate in stealth mode just because of the science and the patents of and the nature of the business that we're in. So some people don't always want you to know what they're up to. So doing what you can to kind of get on their websites and even reach out in advance might be helpful. And making your outreach list, unfortunately, 24% of you say you struggle with that. It's a challenge for everybody. It's time consuming. But the more you put into the organization, the better off you'll be. So spend the time to do it. And again, if there's people that we can help connect you with, we're happy to do so. So I don't know if there's any other questions, comments, but if not, we wish you the best of luck. It's exciting. It's a short period of time, 4 days, so enjoy every minute, and we'll look forward to meeting you at some of the Australian conventions. So
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Jennifer. And yes, we definitely have you along at some of our Australian events to meet some of our delegates. So thank you very much. And I'll now introduce our next speaker, who is Marcel Kamenstein, who is actually the International Relations Manager at Bio. And Marcel is a seasoned founder and corporate executive with a track record of successfully exiting several companies before transitioning. In his current role at Bio, he oversees international delegations to the Bio Convention with experience operating private companies, non-profits, and a family office in both US and Italy. And Marcel brings a vast network and diverse international background and has expertise across helping biotech innovators and government agencies and navigating biotech landscape successfully. So, Marcel, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. There we go. Can everyone see that? All right. Okay. So first off, I want to say thank you for having me here. I also want to say congratulations to everybody who is participating in Bio International Convention. It is absolutely, it's the Super Bowl of the biotech gatherings in the world. And it's really, it's something else to see when you see it in person. If you haven't been there before, you will go to an enormous venue. I'm going to run through some of these stats in a second, but what I do want to say is Jennifer and Erica gave you some absolutely fantastic advice, and if all of you follow what Jennifer and Erica were giving you in terms of sort of the tips and tricks, you will be very successful, because a lot of those points are the things that I do myself when I go to this convention, and this is a massive convention. And even when I go to other conventions, I follow what Jennifer and Erica's strategy is, and it's really spot on. And I'm gonna jump in afterwards. I'll talk a little bit more about that poll that was run in terms of the qualifying prospects and scheduling enough meetings. I'll jump into that because it also will add on to Erica and Jennifer's comments. One of the things that I'll do is after this, I will pass this presentation over to MTPConnect so that they can pass this over to you as well. This is just a little bit of information and some links that are in this presentation just to talk about what is Bio International Convention. Obviously, everybody's coming out there, but just to get a little bit more background of what the actual convention is and why it is. There's a video in here. I'm not sure if this is going to play. I'm going to give it a shot. Can you hear it? Okay, so it's not playing for whatever reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this along. Everybody can watch this. This will give you a little bit of a preview of what to anticipate when you are on site at Bio International Convention. Gives you some visuals, gives you some perspective as to the size of this convention. And so I highly encourage you to take a look at that. And then there's also another video, which I will encourage you to also take a look at, which is this is about our new CEO, John Crowley. He has an incredible story. He is someone who has overcome diversity. He did not start out as a biotech executive. He became a biotech executive trying to find a cure for his 2 children who suffered from a rare disease, which he ended up finding that cure. And eventually they even made a movie specifically about that journey, and it's really a phenomenal journey. I'm very proud to be able to work for him. His story is a lot like a lot of others who work in this industry, trying to find the next cure or therapeutic for rare diseases and diseases in general. So I do highly suggest to take a look at that when you get a chance. Bio, we do several different different conventions. We do several different gatherings around the world for different things. We're not just an event company. We are also the largest advocacy group in the world for the biotech industry. We're made up of more than 1,700 companies, including the Australian government, who are big partners for us in the biotech space. So I encourage you to do a little bit of homework on bio and see what are the benefits that bio could potentially support you in terms of, there's a lot of things that we do additionally for our members in terms of policy research, statistics that, a lot of people use these statistics when they're creating their business plans or their pitch decks. So I encourage you to use all of the resources that bio has. We do this for the industry, and we encourage everyone. So I'm going to jump into a couple of the statistics, and I think this statistics sort of, it gives you really this overview. Stuart touched on this before, but we had more than 20,000 registrants last year in Boston. We anticipate having even more in San Diego come June 3rd to the 6th. It's an enormous gathering of biotech leaders from around the world. More than 9,000 companies are in attendance. We've got almost 90 countries from around the world that are partners that work together to move the science and move the R&D forward. And this is why everybody gathers here, really to get perspective, get insight, share knowledge, build your network, find partners. It's really what's most important is to figure out why are you at this conference and what can you take away from this conference. It's very important that you understand what your direction and your strategy is. And, that goes to what Erica and Jennifer were talking about, which is, have your pitch decks ready. Make sure that you know what it is that you are looking to take away from this convention. And we'll get into the partnering in a little bit, but just to give you the overview on the partnering, 57,000 partnering meetings in 3.5 days is absolutely an enormous quantity of meetings. And when you watch the video, you'll see that you will see people moving in and out of those meeting rooms every 30 minutes like clockwork throughout the day. And it's important that when you do start to look at that schedule and you start to figure out when do you have free time, when are you going to book meetings, make sure that you do schedule some free time and schedule your time for networking events, because it's not all about the partnering system. It's a lot of it, but you also want to definitely have time for that networking, and also time for just walking the show floor and going to, see maybe some companies that you weren't able to connect with, but you were able to see them on the show floor and connect with somebody on their pavilion or in their exhibit hall booth. Just bumping elbows is also part of the game.
Can I just stop you there and ask you to share it in presentation view? You're in speaker mode at the moment.
Oh, thanks for telling me. Where? Did it pop open?
Not just yet.
Oof. Let's see here. You can't see it on your side, can you?
Perhaps try display settings again up the top.
No. Did that work?
That's better.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks.
So sorry. Okay, so let's see. So some of the things that I want to show is some of the The bio one-on-one partnering, we're going to get to in a minute, but definitely what you want to take a look at is go through and make sure that you familiarize yourself with what the programming opportunities are at bio. If you go onto the website, and within this presentation, you're going to see a lot of links here. But one of the things that you want to focus on is making sure that you understand what are the programming opportunities that may fit something that is part of your strategy. And there you are going to end up connecting. If you choose to, you can connect with people who potentially you wanted to meet with, but weren't able to engage them. And Erica made a really great point. There are many people that will attend bio with the idea that they will go a little incognito because there's so many people that want to meet with them. Usually this tends to be the either the investors, or these happen to be the licensing agents for some of the larger biopharma companies. And what you end up happening is some of those people that you meet sort of just as you go throughout the day, or you meet through these networking events or through the programming events that are happening. These are folks that you want to make sure have your business card. Make sure that you connect with them. Don't be afraid to start up a conversation, introduce yourself, and ask what someone does. That is something that I would highly recommend. You have a lot of interactive exhibits. There's going to be more than 1,500 exhibits that are going to be on the show floor, from small to large. You really have a very interactive setting where some of these companies who will be setting up these presentations will have some interesting ways to bring in people who are just walking the show floor. So I suggest if you see somebody who you want to connect with from any company, go ahead, introduce yourself. Networking events. Absolutely take advantage of the Australian networking events and go ahead and start to figure out through the website who are some of the other potential targets or your strategic direction of some of those organizations that are having networking events, and try to go to those. Again, make sure that you set up your schedules to allow for that time. And again, there are lots of links in this so that you can figure out where things are, and also so that you can look at the website afterwards. Now, if you take a look at this, this is the layout of how we have the Bio International Convention. You're going to see that it is very long, 3 football fields. Again, wear your sneakers. Get sneakers that are fancy, that look like dress shoes. That is my suggestion. That's what I do. I know the rest of the team is going to do the same thing. It is really, it's 3 football fields. You're going to be walking all day, 12 hours a day. So my suggestion, make sure you're comfortable. The business forum that you see up to your right-hand side, that business forum is all where the meeting points will happen for the Premier Access Partnering. Now, all of the pavilions and exhibits that you see, all those little squares all around that, those are where the companies and the pavilions will be having their in-booth partnering meetings. So you will see inside of the partnering system which one, based on the either letter or the code that you see for your meeting. So you'll see that in the system when you get into the partnering system. One of the things that I want to point out is that we've got registration down here at the bottom. If you see sort of like in the middle, right in the middle, you're going to see down at the bottom side, that's the registration. Now you'll also see in front of it, you'll see some oblong squares. Those are going to be the escalators that take you up to the 2nd floor. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. So on this slide, if you look at that 2nd level, it's the upper level, you'll see that there's the sales pavilion. There's going to be programming rooms. These are going to be some of the meeting rooms as well. You're going to have the main stage programming. That's going to be a lot of all of your programming activities. Most of those are going to happen there. You're also going to have down on the bottom side, on that main lower level, off to the right-hand side, you're going to have company presentations. These are a great way to pitch your company to a general public who is interested in that topic. So if you haven't taken a look at that, that's something to take a look at. And it's also a great way to connect when you see people who have the same interests of your potential targets. Tips and tricks. Again, bring your sneakers, absolutely. Plan your free time. Make sure that you have business cards. I personally will do QR codes. I think that it's a really great way to create a QR code for your business card. And then I also suggest if you do have that deck that you're going to bring the paper version, also do a QR code with that. And the way that I usually do that cadence is when I meet someone, I ask them pretty quickly, I say, oh, let's swap information. I have them scan my QR code. It automatically brings up my contact in their phone. I ask them to save it. I ask them to take a picture of it so that they remember the day that they met me, and it's in their photographs. And then I ask them to scan that QR code, and I will send a message to them. So I have their message, I have their contact, and we can follow up later on. So very important that you're able to either connect by business card or a QR code. Very important. And again, make sure charge your electronics. There's going to be lots of charging stations all over the floor. Find one. If you have any questions about where to find it, ask one of the bio staff. They're going to be running around everywhere, and they will be able to guide you to where that charging station is. And it's a great way, again, when you're at the charging station, to connect with folks and be able to introduce and meet some people. There's also a comparison chart. So this is not something I'm going to spend much time on here, but it gives you a little bit of comparison as to what the various registration passes are, just so that you understand sort of what each registration pass gets you, depending on which one you've done. Most of you have already picked up those passes, but those are something to look at. If you have any questions, please do email us. Now, business partnering. So the two main parts of the business partnering that I want to touch on is that, you have the business forum and you have the exhibitor booth passes. These are two separate passes. So when you have Premier Access passes, which is, it will automatically default to the business forum, that is one pass. And then you have the exhibitor booth partnering, which allows you to partner in the booth through the partnering system. That will automatically default to the pavilion. And those will be numbered specifically on your meetings inside of the partnering system. The most important thing that I can tell you for the partnering system, and this is something that the ladies touched on earlier, is to make sure that you fully complete your profile. It is essential that you put a very complete profile with all of your parameters as to what you are looking for. And the reason is again, there are going to be people who are looking for the same thing within that 20,000 people. And it's important that the more specific you are, the more you're going to connect with those people that are looking for exactly that. So this is one thing that I absolutely couldn't stress more, is to really fill out that profile as best as you can. And if you have questions on how to fill it out, talk to one of us, send me an email, and I'll bring one of the customer service agents to walk everybody through that. It's a pretty simple, pretty easy process. But again, if you're not driving the Rolls Royce, properly, and you don't have your tires inflated, you're not going to be able to get everything you want out of that car. So we highly suggest make sure that everything is completely filled out. Another thing I want to talk about the partnering system, there's a lot of links here, but one note that I think is something that's another, tip and trick, is when you are filling out the schedule and when you are requesting to meet with folks in the partnering system, make sure that you don't spam everyone and send the same message to every single person. Make sure that each one of those invitations is specific to the people who you want to meet with. You are limited in the number of meetings that you can request, And if someone doesn't respond, it uses up one of those invitations. So my suggestion is be very specific with the people that you invite and be very pointed as to who you are inviting, and make sure that you say something friendly, something that will pique their interest to want to have that meeting with you. Now, remember, everybody that is going to the convention who is part of the partnering system, has a 30-minute window to meet with folks. So everybody wants to make sure that they're getting the most out of their convention. So put together your pitch, make sure that you're following Erica and Jennifer's advice on how to give the best pitch. Make sure you have your materials right, and make sure that you have your profile filled out completely. When you take a look at some of these, I suggest going to the webinar recordings and taking a look at the basic and advanced webinar recordings, even the Raising Capital. These are excellent to familiarize yourself with the system prior to coming out to San Diego. Now, another thing that you can do, you can take a look at, not for this year, but for next year, is take a look at, after you have participated in Bio International Convention and you're starting to line up what your ideas are for the following year, and trying to see how you can really expand, you can kind of take it up a notch by taking a look at some of the sponsorship opportunities. These are something, I'll leave that in the slides, but this is something to think about for the next time that you come to the Bio International Convention in Boston in 2025. You may want to think about, how can we connect either digitally or through branding or through thought leadership. There's many ways to do it, but these are things that you may want to take a look at for the following year, if you haven't taken advantage of it for this year already. One thing that I do highlight that everyone on this team should be looking at pre going out is taking a look at your media kit. Within this is a great way to be able to access some of the media that's out there. Erica and Jennifer, I think you guys would be very helpful to help shepherd some of these folks in the best way to approach this type. This is definitely an expert level of public relations and advertising that you can take advantage of. We just provide the contacts for some of these folks with the media kit. So I suggest taking a look at that. This is something definitely that can be beneficial and helpful. Once Bio International Convention, we have a whole team of marketing and press folks here, and we go through the outreach to reporters. We really connect with the industry as a whole in many different countries, and at show site, this is a great opportunity to potentially, if you can connect with some of these press folks from different countries, these are great people to connect with and potentially get your name out there. Sponsorship opportunities we already touched on. This is something you might want to look at for the following year. Something that you might be able to do after the convention is potentially do follow-up runs with email advertising to hit the general bio attendee lists. This is something a lot of people deploy. Same with I Am Bio podcast episodes. These are great ways to get your business's name out there, or potentially your name out there. We have a lot of customer success associates that are here to help. They are about to head off to San Diego in the next 2 weeks. So we want to ask anybody who has any issues that needs to be set up, whether it's registration issues, we've been going through any little thing that needs to be corrected to make sure that you have all the tools that you need for success. Please reach out to us and let us know. We're here to help you. And I think that is really it. I think that one of the things that I wanted to touch on, which I didn't get to talk about, is that first poll that you put up. You talked about, everybody on this call, about a third of the people on this call had, their biggest concerns was qualifying prospects and scheduling enough meetings. And I think I tried to cover as much from the partnering system as possible in terms of tips and tricks, which is, ensure that you have a good, clean, personalized message to each one of your invitees for setting up a meeting. The other thing is, make sure that when you do schedule those meetings, try to make sure that you do your homework on everyone before you request the meeting and after you request that meeting, to make sure that the people that you're trying to connect with are the right people who you are trying to connect with. Now, even if you end up in one of these meetings where you end up realizing that this is not the person you should be in this meeting with, it's not the right person, and they are not interested, use that time to your advantage to try to figure out, hey, does this person know someone within the company? Is there somebody who maybe they're friends with that we could potentially network through? Don't lose an opportunity. Try to salvage it and make sure that you can get whatever you can connect on, try to do so. And I left my contact here. Please feel free to connect. Any questions?
Thanks, Marcel. We actually might put your poll up, so I might get Deb to activate the poll, and then we can start some questions. One question, and I think it's a good question because I'm not sure the answer of this either, is how many requests is a delegate limited to in the partnering system? And I guess, is it to do with your own calendar, or how does it work?
So I think the question, if I'm not mistaken, was how many requests can you put out there to connect on the partnering system? I believe it's about 120 is your total number of requests to meet. Now, if you send out requests and after, let's say, a few days, you don't get an answer, you can always retract and cancel that request. Excuse me, and that gives you back that request, so you can send it out to someone else.
Excellent. And Marcel, what would you say would be advice for someone who maybe went the last couple of years as an exhibitor and now is transitioning over to partnering in terms of navigating? I know you have given a bit of background, but what would be your number one tip?
So my number one pick would probably be spend the time focusing your schedule on really how to maximize it. You do not want to spend all your time in the partnering area. You also want to be out there. You want to go to the programming that is happening on the various spaces around the show. And you want to make sure that you take advantage of the networking. So I would say, don't focus on one specific area. Try to be broad in terms of all of the potential opportunities that lie within the convention itself. There's just really so many activities that are happening all at the same time. It's impossible to go to everything, but you definitely don't want to just focus on one thing and not take advantage of some of the other ones. So it's all about kind of separating your time and being strategic in the way that you disperse that time.
Excellent. One other question, Marcel, is the profile that's on the exhibitor portal or on another or is it on another profile on your one-on-one partnering platform? Does that make sense?
Repeat that one more time.
Is that the profile on the bio exhibitor portal? And so this might have referred to an earlier comment you made in the presentation, so it might be a bit out of context. Or is it another profile on your one-on-one partnering platform?
So the profiles are actually going to be, so the profile that you have on your exhibitor, the exhibitor portal, will be actually a little bit different than what you're finding on the partnering profile. So the partnering profile is going to be individual to a company and then sub to the individual who is partnering. If someone is not in the partnering system, they won't be present there.
Excellent. What would you say in terms of the platform and how it's changed? We went through COVID and we obviously there was a digital platform for bio for a couple of years. How has it been enhanced since pre-COVID? Because I'm sure it absolutely has.
So every year we go through an iteration of change through the partnering, and also the exhibitor platform goes through changes every single year. And so what we do is at the end of the Bio International Convention, as a corporation, we all get together and we figure out what were the hiccups, what were the challenges, where can we streamline some of the things within the system to make it more user-friendly, to make it more focused on the biotech matchmaking. All of these things get improved year after year after year. The one thing that we do have, again, I think that industry-wide, we're known as the company that really has the best matching platform. And the reason is because year after year, we've got such a great team of people who are focused 100% of their year on making that platform better year after year. And every year there's going to be a hiccup. We take it, we understand it, we fix it as best as we can, and then we get out there and we make sure that we have a better product for next year.
Excellent. And I know our numbers are up by around 8% in terms of registrations, which is fantastic. What would you say in terms of some of those other regions? Are they up as well in terms of, you know, getting the Australians out there to knock on doors of Europe and Asia?
We do. We have actually had, surprisingly, we have Korea is our #1 delegation 2 years in a row. So we've really got a lot of growth there. We've got a lot of growth coming from Japan. We also had some growth coming out of China. So we have really, Asia region is really exploding in terms of their adoption of biotechnology and the amount of partnering that's happening across the board. So there's definitely opportunities. We've also got growth within Europe that we're seeing. We're seeing growth in some areas that we didn't even anticipate. And then we see some also growth in the Middle East, which is huge. We've got a lot more delegations that are coming out. We're going to have a total of 3 delegations from the major Middle East economies, and then we will have even Bio 25. We're going to have even more. So I would say that if anybody is trying to connect with those international folks, one, I think they should talk to you to get an idea of where some of that growth is happening and where are there strategic opportunities. I know that, you know, from the policy side, you have some really great work that's happening between the US and Europe and Australia, and these are critical to the growth of our industry, and also into the opportunity to access some of those markets that are they're really challenging. So, you know, a company that wants to come to the table and promote a product in another country has to go through a lot of hoops, and Europe and the United States have come up with these agreements to make it a lot easier, and those are only getting better. So I think obviously, you know, MTPConnect, that's why you're, you know, here to help connect some of those dots. And, you know, at Bio, you're also going to find a lot of that. A lot of those conversations are going to be happening around the programming aspects. And that's why, again, you know, take the time, go to see those programming. It's about swapping knowledge to really help scientists create cures.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Marcel. We've got some results from the poll. 23% say 5 to 10 meetings that they would schedule, 31%, 10 to 15 meetings, 15 to 20 meetings, 15%, and then 20 to 30 and 30 plus is sort of on the lower range of 12% and 19%. So does that sort of, is that about where
that tracks? That
Yeah.
tracks. I would say for anybody who is looking to increase the number of meetings, it's all the things that we talked about. It's, you know, make sure that you are sending out really targeted requests to meet with individuals. You have 120 options to do so. Just make sure that you're following up, you know, on a daily or bi-daily basis. Make sure that if somebody doesn't answer after a few days, you know, cancel that and then send it out to somebody else who's next on your list. I would say make sure that you set up your free schedule as you need. target the programming you want to see, target the networking you want to do, and then make sure that there's enough free space so you can have those meetings. If you do not leave a lot of open, free meeting times, you're not going to get those meetings. So that's very important. The other thing that's important that I would also take note on is, when you're sitting in those meetings, even if you have just 5 meetings, make sure you take really diligent notes. Make sure that you connect with them afterwards. Erica and Jennifer gave great strategy on how to follow up with those, and I think that's very, very important. So
I think that's good advice. In trying to work in the networking events is extremely important, particularly for the Australians, and trying to connect with some of those international folk. So I guess on that, do you have stats on how many meetings end up being covered pre-advice, and how to manage that?
So I don't have stats off the top of my head for the programming, but I would say, or the partnering. I would say that most partnering companies tend to have over 10 meetings. That is generally sort of between that 10 and 15 mark. 10 to 12 is usually what the average is for those individuals that are fully engaged into the system. Obviously, there are lots of outliers that are on the higher end of that spectrum or on the lower end of that spectrum. But again, if you follow the advice that we gave today in this presentation, and make sure to take a look at the partnering videos that are available on the Bio website, that will also be in this presentation that we'll pass around after this call. Very important. It gives you a lot of inside information and a lot of best practices by our partnering team who developed the system.
That's excellent. Marcel, it would be really good, because I know we didn't get a chance to send that to view your video, so I might share that with the group afterwards as well. So I think that would be really great to hear from your new CEO. But I'll just make sure that there's no last burgeoning questions from the Australian delegation for all our speakers. Last chance, and any final bit of advice that you would give, Marcel?
Final bit of advice. I would say make sure that you rest up prior to arrival and get as much sleep as you possibly can in the first day, and make sure that you get as much sleep as you can when you can, because you'll see that you're going to be on your feet for 12 plus hours a day. You're going to be very tired. Make sure you drink lots of coffee, and just make sure that you manage your schedule well. But it's 5 days of intense networking and meetings, but when you walk away, you have a year's worth of opportunities.
Yeah, well said, Marcel, and 100% agree. From my past experiences over the years at Bio, it's a fantastic event. So I'd just like to thank all of our speakers, Erica, Jennifer, and Marcel. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to our delegates. It's certainly well past your bedtime. You're on the East Coast, so more than thanking you so much for today's presentation.
Absolutely. I wish everybody safe travels on the way over, and good luck at the convention.
And of course, we hope that we can introduce you to as many of our Australian delegations at Bio through the Australian networking events on our pavilion and our VIP reception. So thank you.
We'll be shepherding the photo. So
yes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Stuart.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Tamlin. Thanks, Erica, and thanks, Jennifer. You can sign off and go to bed now. Look, terrific advice there. Those tips and tricks, you should really take them on board and apply them to make your visit to Bio successful. Marcel talked about the physical size of the convention center in San Diego. It is very large. It's very long. If you're staying at a hotel at one end and you've got a breakfast meeting at the other end, then you're going to go to the Australian Pavilion, that's 1 million steps right there. So can't overemphasize the fact that it's a large pavilion, and you're going to be doing a lot of walking. So I hope that's been useful for you as you prepare to jet off to San Diego. One thing, please make sure you get your ESTA sorted. That's a requirement for entry into the United States, and you've got to do it before you get on the plane, and ideally at least a couple of days before you get on the plane. It's if you're not familiar with them, it's run by the US Customs and Border Protection Service. Have a website. It's relatively straightforward to get it. And last time I did it, it cost around $20 US, which is about 1,000 Australian dollars. No, it's not that much, and it is relatively straightforward, but you absolutely have to do it before you go, and that's a reminder for you as much as it is for me. I did mention our workforce and skills event on Friday, the 31st of May. If those sorts of issues and challenges are of a particular interest to you, please get in touch with us, and we can, and you're going to be there in that time. We can ensure that you can get involved in that. So I'm just going to thank my team of Tamlin, Joe Glue, Jared Belcher, who's looking after the workforce event. I think he's online as well. If you're a West Australian company, you'll know Tracy from our team in Perth. If you're a South Australian company, you'll know Joe Close in Adelaide. Obviously in Brisbane, you'll know Tamlin and Andrew. In Sydney, Duncan, and obviously us in the Melbourne office. So we're here to help you as much as we can. As I say, also connect with your state agencies that are coordinating your state delegations. They will be able to help you, and wishing you all the best for the visit to San Diego. We're going to give you back a few minutes of the day, and thanks for tuning in. See you in California. Thanks all.